All right guys, today we've got an exciting one. We are going to be making Red Velvet Cheesecake Brownies. So we're basically combining 3 separate desserts into one and still making it healthy. So it'll be awesome, really eye-opening to see like how you can really make all these crazy good desserts healthy if you just know the basic principles of the ingredients. So that's what I'm really gonna try to explain to you guys in this video, in this recipe. We'll be just explaining through the ingredients, how I'm making ingredient choices so that I can actually make these extravagant type of desserts and still make them healthy. So these are all the ingredients we're gonna be needing for this recipe. And then we're gonna need 3 separate bowls just to make 3 separate batters so that we can just roll them all together. And then we're gonna be baking it and it'll come out amazing. So here's what you do. Okay, so first things first, we're gonna make our main brownie base. And we're gonna be doing that with our 0 sugar brownie mix. Obviously, when you take away all the added sugars from stuff, it's gonna take away the calories that come from that sugar, and it's overall gonna be healthier. So this is what we're gonna be using for this base. And we're gonna be going in with half of this packet, which the whole packet is 350 grams. We're gonna be going in with half of that. And I'm also gonna start with all of the dry ingredients. So that's what we're gonna be using here. Now, I should also mention, since we're talking through the recipe and the ingredient choices, this, although it still has 0 sugar and I took away a lot of those calories from it, it's still 90 calories per serving. And you have to look at the serving size. That's for 1/12 of the package. And so if we're gonna be using the entire package, that's gonna come out to about 1,000 calories. And so we can find ways to make that a little bit less of calories, right? And so the way we're gonna be doing that is, obviously we're only using half of it, but we still want the full brownie amount. And so we're gonna be substituting some of those calories for our protein powder. And our protein powder is gonna add extra protein. We want these recipes to add protein to them because that's gonna help us overall with our recovery when we're exercising, and it'll keep us on our goal overall healthier, support healthy muscle mass. And then also it's going to bring the calories down more so than like the fats and carbs. Those two combined together, which is typically what these desserts are made of, they're gonna have more calories. At least the fats themselves have 9 calories per gram, protein only has 4. Carbs also do have 4, but they're usually accompanied by fats, so usually has some more. So we're gonna be substituting with whey isolate, and the one I'm using here is going to be a white chocolate spice from Axe and Sledge. You guys can use code RIDZIG10 for 10% off if you so wish, but if not, use a chocolate-based flavor. Even though this is a white powder, it is still white chocolate-based. It's not vanilla-based. Obviously, you're making a brownie that's chocolate, so we're gonna be going in with chocolate flavor. So maybe going in with 2 scoops of this, right there. And you can see just for the overall amount, it probably matches it if we use the entire packet of that brownie mix, but we probably saved ourselves, let's see, so 90 calories for the packet times 6 is going to be 540 calories. And for 2 scoops, which is about the same powder amount, it comes out to, this is 100 calories per scoop, and so that's 200 calories. So we saved 340 calories just from that one swap, which we keep making those types of changes. We'll lower the calories, up the protein. That's the kind of idea we want in these recipes. Lower calories, higher in protein, okay? So next we're gonna be going in, because we still want all that chocolate fudge flavor, just in case the protein doesn't supply with all of it, although it's still, this protein powder that I use from Axe and Sledge, very, very tasty. But we're gonna be going in with some unsweetened cocoa powder. Okay, make sure it's unsweetened because the sweetened version has obviously added sugars, it's sweetened, and that's gonna re-add the calories right back in. Unsweetened baking cocoa powder, which comes out to 15 calories per tablespoon. We're gonna be using 2 tablespoons. All right, next we have a secret ingredient, and that is going to be sugar-free, fat-free Jell-O pudding mix. And this is obviously the chocolate flavor because we're going in with a chocolate brownie. They have vanilla, they have cheesecake, which I'll show you guys that in a second. But this is a secret ingredient because what it does is it's going to act as a strong flavor profile, especially because it's used to make pudding. Pudding's gotta have like flavor to it, right? And it's sugar-free and fat-free. So for the whole packet, it's only 20 calories. And we're only gonna be using half the packet because it does add a sweetness, but also more importantly, it adds great consistency and texture that you're looking for in a moist brownie. So this pudding is going to retain a lot of water because you need to make like that thick pudding custard-like consistency. And if we didn't add this in, the brownie might become a little bit cake-like, might become a little bit dry. So this will help it retain a lot of that moisture that we're looking for and provide us with a strong, fudgy chocolate flavor. So I'm going in with half this packet. Also, we're gonna be going in with a little bit of salt, and you're probably like, I don't want a salty brownie. You won't taste the salt. We're just gonna be going in with, that's 3 right there. So it comes out to about just a pinch of salt. And the reason why you put salt in these recipes, again, is for moisture, because water goes where salt goes. And if you have salt into the brownie, that's all like sifted together, mixed together, it'll retain a lot of that water, retain a lot of that moisture, and create a nice gooey brownie that we're looking for, not one of these like caked up dry brownies. So salt is also important, just a little bit. All right, so that's it for our dry ingredients. Now just gonna sift them up together. I like to add in all the dry ingredients first, incorporate everything together before we add in our wet ingredients. Okay, that's sifted together. Now to add our wet ingredients, we're gonna start off with just 1 whole egg. And so I like to use egg whites in most of my cooking, but 1 whole egg I find in most recipes keeps everything binded together. That yolk is important to keep everything bound together, to make sure, again, the consistency is what we're looking for. Because at the end of the day, we don't want a healthy brownie that we don't even want to eat and then go back to regular brownies. That's not the point. The whole point is to incorporate this and be like, wow, this is so much like an actual brownie, because it is. And I don't want to go back to the other brownies because there's no benefit to it whatsoever. It's just extra sugars, extra calories, extra problems. So that's why I incorporate at least 1 egg yolk, but they're not all whole eggs. So we got 1 egg here. Also going to be going in with 1 egg white, and we're going to beat that all together. Now this isn't enough liquid to get it to be a complete brownie-like consistency. So just mix it in your best right now. Incorporate everything. And now with, again, another secret ingredient here for baking, pure pumpkin puree. If you guys have seen any of my other recipe videos, a lot of the recipe videos that I use include pumpkin puree. This is a fantastic ingredient because very, very low in calories. It's pure pumpkin, which is, a vegetable, very, very low calorie dense. And so for 1/2 of a cup, it's only 40 calories, and it's not gonna provide that strong of a pumpkin flavor. If anything, we're really not gonna taste it at all. And so that's what we're really looking for, because this provides a lot of consistency. I don't know if you guys could see that texture really from here in this can, but very, very paste-like, moist-like. That'll provide a lot of like the gooiness that we're looking for without the pumpkin flavor and without the calories. So it's basically like free consistency, gooiness, goodness. So we're gonna be going in with 1/2 cup of this pumpkin puree. Again, 40 calories here. This is going to replace a lot of the butter and oil that are typically found in brownies, which for the amount of butter and oil would have been roughly like 300 calories, 400 calories, and this is only 40. So we basically reduce the calories again here by another 300 calories. And so we had the 300 calories from before with the brownie mix that we reduced by using protein powder, that 1 swap. Now this swap is another 300 calorie reduction. And so we already saved ourselves 600 calories from this brownie, and probably an extra 50 from the egg. So saving ourselves 650 calories on just this brownie base, which is awesome. And it's a lot higher in protein. So to help us recover better in the gym, keep our bones and muscles nice and healthy and strong, keep us on track with all of our fitness goals. And now it's gonna look like this isn't gonna mix in, but just keep beating it together. Promise it'll mix in. You don't need any other wet ingredients. And look at this, we have a nice, thick brownie fudge consistency right there. That's perfect. It smells just like a brownie because it is a brownie. That's the key. We're making recipes that actually are the real thing. It's not one of these fake healthy recipes that's like, you have to trick yourself into believing that you're eating what it is, and you smell the brownie and then eat like a piece of pepper. It's like, what are we doing? No. Let's make actually good tasting, actual food that we're gonna wanna eat for the rest of our lives. So that's our first brownie base. It's done. We're gonna set that aside and we're gonna make our red velvet brownie base as well. Right, so a little bit more of the same. And so just like we did in the last time, this is our red velvet cake mix. And we're just gonna be going in with half this package. Actually a third of this package. So we're gonna be going in with 1/3 of this package, which the entire package is 432 grams. So 1/3 of that comes out to roughly 150 grams of this red velvet cake mixture. And this is not a brownie mixture, so this is a cake mixture. And we want it to still have that fudge-like consistency. So we're gonna be adding in a little bit more of that wet ingredient just to keep it moist. But that's our red velvet mixture there. We're also gonna be adding in some of that cocoa powder. It's gonna enhance that color, the deep redness. So just 1 tablespoon of this cocoa powder right there. And we're gonna be going in with our pumpkin puree, another half cup of this pumpkin puree as well. A little bit of salt. And this time I'm just mixing it all together just to save some time. If you wanna do the same thing like the brownie mixture where you do all the dry ingredients together and then the wet, that'll work just fine as well. Adding in another new ingredient here just to make it a little bit wetter. This is going to be Greek yogurt, non-fat Greek yogurt. This is the plain version. You can do the vanilla version as well if you so wish. But what this is gonna do is gonna provide a lot of protein. 18 grams of protein per 2/3 cup or 170 grams. Obviously no fat, it's non-fat, and it takes away a ton of the added sugars from regular yogurt. So definitely use the Greek yogurt version if you guys are gonna include this yogurt. Regular yogurt has a lot of sugar, a lot of calories, a lot of problems. So not a lot here. Again, we're just gonna be going in with 2 tablespoons and then 1 scoop of our protein powder here. So the main base is the brownie base. This is gonna be like swirled on top, so it's a little bit less in terms of actual volume. If you notice the last one, we used half the package of the cake mix, the brownie mix. This time we're only using 1/3. The last time we used 2 scoops of protein powder. This time we're only using 1, just because we want that brownie mixture to still be the base, the strongest flavor. And then this is gonna be swirled with it on top. So I actually swapped this out for peppermint flavored protein. You guys can still use the chocolate base or vanilla base, whichever good tasting protein you guys wanna use, but I am just gonna spice it up a little bit and go with this peppermint bark flavor from Axe and Sledge. Again, code RIDZIC10 gets 10% off. And it'll provide like a nice holiday flavor that like really encapsulate that red velvet, which you definitely don't need to, but I like that funky flavor combination. All right, and then lastly, we're gonna be adding in 1 whole egg. Again, just to keep everything bound together. Don't need any other yolks anymore. All right, so we've mixed up this red velvet batter. Again, nice thick consistency that we're looking for in a good fudgy brownie. And at first it's gonna look like it's not gonna amount to anything. It's gonna look like it's gonna need more liquid. Just keep mixing it up. I promise it'll mix in. It's gonna look dry, but it won't be. Everything will mix in and incorporate well. And that's our red velvet base that we're gonna set aside. And lastly, we're gonna make our cheesecake base. All right, so for the last batter portion of this recipe, we are going to be making our cheesecake base. And of course, we're going to be using cream cheese. And so this is 1/3 less fat cream cheese. If you can find low fat or like no fat cream cheese, that is going to be a lot better than regular cream cheese. I would not make this recipe if it weren't for a lower fat option of the cream cheese. I couldn't find no fat cream cheese at the grocery store, so if you can find that, go with that version. It'll bring it even lower in calories, but I did find 1/3 less fat, so that'll be good for now. And then what I'm doing here is I'm just softening it up a little bit while it's in the package. I let this be room temperature for the duration of this recipe, just to get it a little bit softened. We are gonna be mixing this together, and it's a lot easier to mix together once it's softened. If it's not softened beforehand, it makes it really tough to mix this together. We don't wanna make that tough. So we're gonna be going in with the whole package here of this low-fat cream cheese, which is 8 ounces. And then we're gonna be going in with some more of our Greek yogurt. This time we're gonna be using more. We're gonna be using 1/3 of a cup. And so that's gonna give us an extra 9 grams of protein and some better consistency. this cake. Got 1/3 of a cup right there. And just gonna try to combine this all together. Again, this cheesecake is still very, very thick, even though it is softened. So the more you can soften it, the better it'll be and easier it'll be to mix up. I find that if you just start to mash it up a little bit, break it apart, incorporate that Greek yogurt in there, it'll make it a little bit easier. Okay, I'm also gonna be going in with just a tad bit of milk just to soften this up, make it a little bit more batter-like because it is super, super thick right now. And so obviously the lower calorie milk that you can find, you can use almond milk, oat milk, any kind of milk that is low in calories, skim milk, that'll be a lot better than using whole milk because the whole milk has a lot of fat and a lot more calories than the other milks. Just a little bit here, just a splash, just to get everything incorporated together. And we're gonna be going in with a little bit of a touch of vanilla. So we're gonna be using 2 teaspoons. I'm using the cap because the cap's a teaspoon. There, just to sweeten it up a little bit. Provide a good contrast to all the other flavors that are mainly chocolate-based flavors. Let's provide a nice vanilla flavor. All right, now we're gonna be going in, we used the chocolate pudding mix before, now we're gonna be using the cheesecake, sugar-free, fat-free Jell-O pudding mix. This will give it that nice consistency we're looking for, the thick pudding mix, but obviously give it that cheesecake flavor. We're gonna be going in with half a packet here, which is again, just 10 calories. Provides a nice strong flavor, great consistency for just 10 extra calories. Totally worth it. If you notice that it's starting to become a little bit too thick and not batter-like, throw in a little bit more of that milk, and a little bit goes a long way. You just need a little splash of it. So for the entire recipe, it'll end up being roughly about a 1/4 cup of milk. And then, as that's in there too, we're gonna throw in 1 scoop of our protein powder just as a cake base, so that it's not just cream cheese. I'm using this time a vanilla-based protein powder, and this is going to be the iced sugar cookie from Axe and Sledge. Of course, you can just use regular vanilla, that'll work just fine. I just like, again, these cool little holiday flavors that they come out with. And so I'm just gonna incorporate that in. And that's our last ingredient for this batter and for the entire recipe. And so now it's just a matter of combining that all together. Now that that's mixed together, combined, we have all 3 of our batters. And then let's go ahead and prep that baking sheet, the baking pan, and then bake it. That'll be our brownies. Okay, so we've got our 3 batters right here, chocolate, red velvet, and our cheesecake. They look fantastic. Now we're just gonna be prepping our baking pan with a little bit of parchment paper and some nonstick. Just a quick little spray just to make sure nothing sticks together here. A little spray goes a long way. It's just for nonstick. The oil's not really gonna provide the flavor that we're looking for. So we've got our brownie pan ready to go. We've got all our batters. And now it's just a matter of assembling it to make it look pretty. So the way we're gonna do this, I'm gonna taste test each of these batters as it goes in. That's a brownie. All right, so where we're gonna be doing this is going to be putting most of this first brownie batter into the baking pan, but not all of it. We're gonna be reserving about a half a cup to a cup left over, and that'll mix in with our swirl later, which you guys will see. But let's put in, I would say roughly 2/3 of our brownie mixture into this baking pan first. Now you guys can use a taller baking pan, a shorter baking pan. I'm using a shorter one just because that's what I have on hand clean right now. But I did save a little bit, you see this, of this brownie mixture for later use. So now it's just a matter of covering this bottom of the pan with that brownie mixture. Just spread it all around. You can already see when we're moving it, that nonstick is working on the bottom. So that's a good sign. And so you get a size pan where this is going to be not a super, super thick brownie when you're first spreading it out, because we still have 2 other batters to go to put it on. So it should just be a nice layer to where it'll cover the base, but not tall enough to be a full brownie. All right, so we've got that base down. Now for our red velvet, we're gonna be scooping in these large chunks of our batter here. And just plopping them right in, just like this. Now the reason why you don't want to pour it on is because it'll start to, once you start to spread it around, it'll start to mix with the chocolate, and we still have a whole nother swirl to go with our cheesecake batter. We're just gonna put in these large clumps. We wanna ensure everything mixed together. So it's not gonna be a full layer, it's just gonna be a swirl on top. So get as much of that batter off as you can. Cool, just like that. And of course, the taste test. That peppermint adds a nice little kick to the red velvet. Delicious. Hopefully my mouth's not red as I'm talking the rest of this. But now we're also gonna be scooping in the same way that we did the red velvet with our cheesecake batter, just in different places as well. So right on top like that. And I'm just gonna be using this knife really, and just going in with some swirls. And the reason why, again here, because now that red color from the red velvet is gonna start to mix with that cheesecake. And if we combined it all together, kind of just poured it on and then we're starting to mix, you'll lose a lot of that white chunks that'll make that nice swirl color, just because it'll start to turn red from that red velvet color. So now you see that the brownie's getting thicker. We've got some cool swirls coming along now. Really try to push it all to the edges too. We want this entire brownie to be swirled up on top. We're just going to be throwing in the last bit in the same regard, the same scooping formation of our regular brownies. Just a little bit there. As you're doing this, try to make the entire brownie nice and even. So there might have been bigger scoops somewhere else as opposed to others on the pan. That's our brownie mixture. Look at that swirl on top. That looks really cool and it's gonna bake awesome. So we've got the oven preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. This is going to be baked between 33 and 40 minutes. And we're gonna check that as it goes at that 33 mark, just to make sure the texture is how we want it. If it comes out still wet when we poke it with either a toothpick or a fork, we can still leave it in there. If it comes out dry, it's good to go. We obviously don't want it too dry, so definitely check it at that 33-minute mark. And then we'll go from there. All right, so our brownie has come out of the oven. We're gonna let that rest for just a little bit, but I want you guys to just look at how beautiful this is. Like, seriously, I don't know if you guys could see that, but you definitely should be able to. Unbelievable. Like, there's no way you would ever look at this and be like, I can eat this and lose weight? I can lose fat eating foods like this? Yes, yes you can. So I'm actually super excited to dig in, but we're gonna let that cool off for just a little bit, cut it up, and consume. Brownie has cooled off and now it's time to cut it up. I like to cut it up into roughly 12 squares. These are not just your small average size brownies, these are gonna be massive. Honestly, for the amount that you're getting, you're probably only gonna want one brownie, maybe two, just for how rich it's gonna be. All right, so look at this. I don't know if you guys, like, just look at all that. It's a steaming brownie. It is a big brownie. It is literally the size of my palm. It is not a small brownie whatsoever. So look at that. Just deliciousness all around. Now it's time to give that a good little taste. I'm gonna get a bite where it has all of it. I'm gonna get this bite right in the corner right there. Oh my gosh. I've outdone myself on this one. This is unbelievable. I'm gonna, look at cutting it right in half. You can see how just moist this is. And like gooey, it's just coming right out like that. There is no way you would ever think that this is a healthy recipe. Oh my gosh. Cheesecake, the red velvet, the chocolate brownie on the bottom, which is still dense. Unbelievable. Alright. That's gonna do it for this recipe. I'm probably gonna have both of these slices right now for lunch. Unbelievable, wow. I have no words. So, I'm just gonna wrap it up here. Thank you guys for watching this recipe. If you guys like this recipe and you wanna check out all the other ones that are also just as amazing, feel free to check out the channel and all the other recipes that are here. Like, share, subscribe, share with a friend. They might be wanting to eat some healthy dessert and lose some weight in the process. Don't gatekeep it, share it around. So I will catch you guys in the next one.